All right. First and foremost, I'm gonna say all praises be to Yahweh, Bashem, Yahweh Shai, Bashem Makar, Kodash, and then I'm gonna say double honors to the apostles and elders of the great millstone, and shalom to the sincere elect teaching the truth in faith and sincerity. Quick topic I want to speak on is based upon this whole situation with the United Nations and obviously Ghana, in terms of recognizing, the transatlantic slave trade as one of the greatest crimes against humanity. And obviously they're obviously trying to ask for reparations and accountability, like against those nations that played a big part in it. And it's interesting that the three countries that rejected it mainly was the United States, the state, the state of Israel, and Argentina, of course. Which Argentina is very interesting because you do have a lot of small hats over there. Of course, for the large part, like a lot of them in Argentina, of course, are our people, of course. But I just find that very interesting. So it says UN adopts Ghana's slavery resolution, defying resistance from the United States and Europe, right? And I'm just skip to key points, right? It says a resolution proposed by Ghana at the United Nations on Wednesday to recognize transatlantic slavery as the gravest crime against humanity. And really, man, it's true, because when you really sit down and think about it, what happened and the brutalities and harshness of the transatlantic slave trade and everything that took place is really unprecedented. The the pain and suffering and torture that our people had to endure, and this modern world that we have now, with Europe, Babylon, and so on and so forth, was really built and funded off of the backs of free labor that, like, our people gave in that transatlantic slave trade. Now, of course, people will say, slavery has existed for a long time, which is true, right? Being a slave in servitude has existed for a very long time and has existed in many other cultures. But transatlantic slavery, the harshness and brutality and everything that was taking place, that the world has never seen. Because, prime example, in like Rome, a person could be a slave, right, in Rome, but then he just got a normal job. He just, an architect, and it was just like Rome's workforce. But in terms of like the harshness of transatlantic slavery, the torture, and just straight harshness, it actually truly can't even be compared to anything else that's taking place. Because our people got it the absolute worst, man. Right? It says a resolution proposed by Ghana at the United Nations on Wednesday to recognize the transatlantic slavery as the gravest crime against humanity and calling for reparations has been adopted despite resistance from Europe and the United States. Ghana said the resolution was needed because the consequences of slavery, which saw at least 12.5 million Africans, which was way more than that. It was way more than that. You know what I mean? Esau doesn't ever want to admit the real numbers. But there's some information of like hundreds of millions of our people just dying on the way there. You know? It says was taken and sold between the 15th and 19th centuries. Persists today, including racial disparities. Yeah. Like that colonial rule and period, right, of transatlantic slave trade, there's still consequences to this very day, and people don't really understand that. You know what I mean? Like, you conquered these people, you had them in a slavery, and ruined their countries up until this very day, and we're still seeing the you know what I mean, effects of that. You know, if we skip down, all right, it says at the UN General Assembly vote, 123 countries supported the resolution, which is not legally binding but carries political weight, while 3 opposed it, including the United States and the State of Israel. And 52 abstained, including Europe, the European Union, and Britain. Ghana's foreign minister, Samuel Ablakwa, said the resolution called for accountability. Justin Hansford, a law professor at Howard University, said the resolution was significant as it represented the furthest the United Nations has gone to recognizing the transatlantic slavery as a crime against humanity and in calling for reparations. Now, 2 things I want to touch on in terms of, you know, getting reparations, man. We don't need that. And in terms of accountability, really, the only way Esau will be held accountable for what they've done is when the Lord comes back. So, you know, Jake constantly wants to ask this devil to, you know, for like an apology or to plead their cause, and it's like, yo, nah, man. The Lord is the one that's going to hold Esau accountable. This is Jeremiah 15:5. Right? It says, for who shall have pity upon thee, O Jerusalem? Or who shall bemoan thee? Or who shall go aside to us how thou doest? Yeah. So, you know, so who's going to have pity, you know what I mean, upon thee? You know? Because it's like, Jake expects, bro, Esau is a seed of the wicked. And Jake somehow expects the seed of the wicked, right? Who can do nothing but bring wickedness. Jake really expects the seed of the wicked to apologize for being the devil, and it's like, yo, no, that's who they are, right? But it says, for who shall have pity upon thee, O Jerusalem, and who shall bemoan thee, or who shall go aside to ask how thou doest? Thou hast forsaken me, saith the Lord, thou art gone backward. Therefore will I stretch out my hand against thee and destroy thee. I'm weary with repenting. I'm weary with repenting. And at the end of the day, man, you know what I mean? A lot of Jake don't even know why we experienced being in slavery and what it was for. It was biblical prophecy, you know, of a curse that would happen unto our people for not hearkening unto the words of the Lord, man. You see? All right. Now, the one scripture I wanted to get was I believe it's Daniel 9, yeah? It says, all right, Daniel 9 and 9. To the Lord our power belong mercies and forgiveness, though we have rebelled against him. Neither have we obeyed the voice of the Lord our power, all right, to walk in his laws, which he has set before us, his servants, the prophets. You see? You know what I'm saying? And it's like not hearkening unto the word, the law, statutes, and commandments came with consequences, which really, you know, like it was always set up for us to experience it because, you know, we had to experience both sides. You know, as the future judges and rulers of the earth, we needed to, like as we always say, yeah, you had to learn the ways of wickedness to appreciate righteousness. It says, "Yea, all Israel have transgressed thy law, even by departing, that they might not obey thy voice. Therefore the curse is poured out upon us, and the oath is written in the law of Moses, the servant of God, because we have sinned against him." So that's why it happened. And he have confirmed his words which he has spake against us, and against our judges that judged us, by bringing upon us a great evil. For under the whole heaven have not been done as has been done upon Jerusalem, as it is written in the law of Moses. Yeah, all this evil is coming upon us, yet we made not a prayer before the Lord our power, that we might turn from our iniquities and understand thy truth. So the point is, under the whole heaven have not been done as has been done upon Jerusalem. So which is a people for a place. So nothing, on earth compares to what our people have experienced. Because we've been oppressed under all these nations, but even if we look at just modern era, slavery and everything that happened, and soul destroying practices that took place even post slavery. I mean, people say post slavery was even worse than in slavery. You know what I'm saying? Because everything that took place, Jake being lynched, Jake being totally murdered and massacred, trying to do their own thing post slavery, man. Whole cities and former Jake towns is literally turned into a lake because they tried to bury the story, the history of Jake post slavery, and Esau, like, in terms of trying to ask him to have mercy and reparations, and take accountability. We don't need that from Esau, because ultimately the law is going to hold Esau accountable. You know what I'm saying? Remember, this is Revelation. Before I get Revelations, let me get Zechariah 2 and 8. It says, "For thus saith the Lord of hosts, after the glory have he sent me unto the nations which spoiled you. For he that touches you toucheth the apple of his eye. For behold, I'll shake mine hand upon them, and they shall spoil their servants, and ye shall know that I'm the Lord of hosts that sent me." So the point is, whoever touches us as a nation touches the apple of his eye. So people that really matters unto him. Can you imagine? A father, a father just being a father, and then his son gets beat up or abused or whatever it may be. Yo, that's a big deal. And that father is gonna look for his lick back, his vengeance. And remember, the scripture says, "Vengeance is mine," saith the Lord, I will repay. So the Lord eventually is going to balance the scales, man. You know, E thinks he's got away, man, with things, but he truly hasn't. This is Ecclesiastes 8:11. Because sentence against an evil work is not executed speedily, therefore the heart of the sons of men is fully set in them to do evil. You know what I'm saying? You know, though a sinner do evil 100 times and his days be prolonged, yet surely I know it shall be well with them that fear the Most High, which fear before him. Because sentence against the evil work. So because Esau's still in power, because they have a long-standing history of just straight up oppression, you know, on people, on different nations, and just simply just have not paid for all that they've done against Jake. They feel like, you know, they're just gonna get away scot-free, not knowing that a time is gonna come when the Lord is gonna hold them accountable, and they shall pay for all their evil and wickedness that they've done to the people of the Most High. You know what I'm saying? Which is why the scripture says this, all right? This is 2 Thessalonians chapter 1 and 6. Seeing it as a righteous thing with the Most High to recompense tribulation to them that trouble you. You know? So that's it. It truly is a righteous thing. You know, it's a righteous thing with the Most High to recompense tribulation to them that trouble you. It truly is a righteous thing. You know? Because every time we, you know what I mean, as 12 tribes of Israel, you know what I mean, the real Hebrew Israelites, when we speak about the coming, you know, balancing of the scales and, you know, recompense upon Esau, you know, people talk shit. They're like, you are no better than XYZ because, you know, you still got hate in your heart and all this shit. And it's like, hold on, nah. You touch the people of the Most High. And that's why it says, he shall show judgment without mercy unto them that have shown no mercy. Right? This is Revelation 13:9. If any man have an ear, let him hear. He that leadeth into captivity shall go into captivity. Right? He that killeth with a sword must be killed with a sword. Here is the patience and faith of the saints. And the patience and faith of the saints are going to be confirmed and established when the Lord comes. And that's when he's going to bind the kindred chains and nobles with fetters of iron. And that's when Esau, these other nations as well, are going to be held accountable for all the wickedness that they've done against the people of the Lord. So on this side, we aren't to you know, expect any reparations or any, you know, justice. On this side, we ain't gonna get no justice. That justice is gonna come when the Lord comes back, and the Lord returns and establishes His judgment upon earth. You know, and the ultimate beauty is that, you know, after 1,000 years, a period of time, Edom is gonna be exterminated. That's beautiful, but that's gonna happen after an extensive, again, period of time of them serving slavery, and then they'll be exterminated. So really, it's beautiful, you know, which actually, it makes me want to end with this scripture, Psalms the 73rd chapter, where when it's um This is Psalm 73, verse 11 on down. And they say, how doth the Most High know? And is there any knowledge in the Most High? Behold, these are the ungodly who prosper in the world. They increase in riches. Verily, I have cleansed my heart in vain and washed my hands in innocency. For all the day long I have been plagued and chastened every morning. If I say I will speak thus, behold, I should offend against the generation. Let me skip down. Oh yeah, come. When I thought to know this was too painful for me, until I went into the sanctuary of the Most High, then understood I their end. Surely that thou didst set them in slippery places, and thou castest them down into destruction. All right, so the point is, when you come into the sanctuary, when the Lord brings you into his sanctuary, which is this word, which is his truth, then you understand their end, how they're really in slippery places. Because now, for a season, it seems like they're stood up tall, having, doing good, being proud. But they're in slippery places is because they think they're gonna establish the NWO and establish their kingdom and never have to pay for all of their wickedness, but they're actually on the path to their own destruction, and the Lord is gonna hold them accountable. They are gonna have to pay. The scripture says to bind their kings with chains, man, and nobles with fetters of iron, which makes me think of this scripture, which is what I'm gonna finish with. This is Nahum chapter 1 and 3, right? Let me start from 2. The Most High is just jealous, and the Lord revengeth. The Lord revengeth and is furious. The Lord will take vengeance on his adversaries, and he reserveth wrath for his enemies. The Lord is slow to anger and great in power, and will not at all acquit the wicked. The Lord hath his way in the whirlwind, and in the storm, and in the clouds are the dust of his feet. So yeah, the Lord is slow to anger and great in power, man, and will not at all acquit. So here is, they want to get off scot-free and not be held accountable for their sins, and it's like, nah, the Lord is gonna hold you accountable, and that's definitely what's gonna happen. So with that, I'm gonna say all praises be unto Yahweh Shema Shah Bashim Kakadash. Double honor to the apostles and elders, great millstone. Till next time, I'm gonna say shalom.